Good morning. Any visitors this morning? Nobody. Or aren't you awake? Oh, where are you from? Johnstown. Okay. What parish? Up on the hill. Up on the hill, right? Okay. Well, welcome. Anybody else? In Johnstown, it's wise to be up on the hill, right? That's a good thing. This morning, I want to direct your thoughts to the second reading, which comes to us from St. Paul to the Romans, the 13th chapter, because he brings up an interesting topic that I think we don't ordinarily unpack. He says, "Owe nothing to anyone except to love one another." Now, how many in here love anybody? Okay, most of you, that's good. Now, how do you do that? Because in the writings of Jesus, and again in St. Paul, love is not restricted to those we feel affection for. See, there's a difference. And those of you who put your hands up really put your hands up probably because you have affection for someone, right? Yes? But Jesus' concept of love is not affection. Affection means I'm attracted to you. Affection means I like you. Affection means that we're bonded in some way. But Jesus' concept of love is much broader. And it has to do with our actions. It has to do with our attitudes. It has to do with the way we treat one another. Jesus' concept of love is not based on affection, but rather based on existence. Jesus' concept of love means that if another person exists, if another person stands before me, then my job as a Christian is to love them. Why? Because if they exist by the will of God. And if they exist by the will of God, they are then thus made to God's image and likeness. And so my task then is to love everyone so as not love God. When I do not love someone, that is, when I do not act appropriately toward them, I do a disservice to God. Because what I'm saying is, I don't like God's creation. I don't like what God has created. I don't care for what God has placed in my neighborhood. And that's why love becomes the core of Paul's writings and also becomes the basis of Jesus' two great commandments, which Paul reprises today in that second reading. We've gotten all confused in our society, here especially in America. We've made love having something to do with emotion when it really has to do with decision. I have young couples come in and say, "Well, why do you want to get married?" "Because I love him. Because I love her." That ain't going to work. Because it's based on emotion. It's based on attraction. The Greeks had three words for love. They had eros, they had philia, and they had agape. Now, eros is just what I just said. Why do you want to get married? Because I love him. I'm attracted to him. Eros, from which we get the word erotic. And all that means is that I'm attracted to you. And if that's the basis for your love, it will not last. Because when you're no longer attracted, you walk away. The term philia means brotherly love, as in Philadelphia. Okay? And that's what we're called to be brothers and sisters, to have a friendship that is enduring, and to move that friendship to the next level, which is agape, the third word. And what is agape love? It's self-sacrificial love. I love you so much that I'll give my life for you. Now, it's not as dramatic as I'll jump in front of a pat bus to save your life, because that may or may never happen. But it does in fact happen, because it's the kind of love, agape love, which causes a mother or a father to get up in the middle of the night to tend to a child. I sacrifice my sleep so that you can be cared for. Agape love is the kind of love that says to us, that causes us to make decisions where we will care for another person. So you see, love is about action. It's not about feeling. It's about action. Feeling is part of it, but it cannot just be based on eros. It must be based on philia and agape. Now, if we can move our love for people in general to the level of agape, the world begins to change. And so what happens? I hold the door for people. What happens? My behavior begins to change. I don't become impatient. What happens? I lose my road rage. What happens? I begin to be more patient raising my parents. That was a joke.